what? But my professor said...
Don't care. Still don't care.
So the title of this video probably provoked a little bit of curiosity, but by the end of this video, you will know exactly why I've made this statement and why I do think in some cases headphones are going to be the better option for most people. So who is this video for? This video is for anybody who was just like me a few years ago, to where you didn't have a huge budget, you maybe just started getting into mixing, and you may just have a home studio. Proper monitoring is going to be a key first ingredient. Without you properly hearing your music, without properly hearing things whenever you're mixing your track, it's like baking a cake without any eggs. Can you do that? You know, one of the things that I remember early on as I was mixing, I would be mixing in my room, then I would go out to the car, and then my entire mix would just totally fall apart.
Please, no! No! No!
I was actually making beats at one point, and I remember going to a studio. This is before I'd ever really been into an actual studio, and I remember making this beat, and then I remember taking my beat to this place. I thought I had my 808s rocking. And then whenever we played it on their system, there was no 808. It was the most humbling experience ever. So I'm saying all that to say the importance of hearing your things properly is a major ingredient. If you're mixing in a non-treated room, and I'm not just talking a few different like foam pieces up in the corner of the walls, proper acoustic treatment is probably gonna run you a few $1,000s. You're gonna have to build things a certain way to get actual acoustic treatment in your room. And if you don't have that budget, I assure you that mixing on headphones is gonna be the better option. I'm gonna give myself some instant credibility because you probably don't know who I am, but you probably do know these people that I'm about to reference here. So probably one of my favorite mix engineers right now. He actually just won a Grammy for mixing the 21 Savage J. Cole track a lot. But one of the crazy things that Maddox mentions in this article is he actually mixed a Grammy Award winning track in his apartment on headphones. One of the things that he quotes in this article is pretty crazy, but what he says here, he says, I spend probably 60% of my time mixing on my headphones, mainly because I can judge the low end better on them. And he goes on and through that article, great article, you should probably go check it out. That just goes to show, if you're not mixing in a treated room, you're probably gonna get a better reference on your headphones, because if your room isn't properly treated, the bass isn't gonna sound right, the high end's not gonna sound right, and that's kind of when you start getting into the issue of whenever you're mixing and it sounds great in your room, but whenever you go and play it in the car, your mix starts to fall apart. And probably one of the best resources that I ever came across as a young engineer, and every single episode they put out, I still watch to this day, Pensado's place. Dave Pensado's mixed for everybody. One of the key things that he says here in this LANDR interview is he says you can buy a $200,000 set of monitors and put them in a poorly treated room and you'll be very disappointed. So really, whenever you go out and buy very expensive monitors and you're putting them in a room that's not treated, it's kind of a double whammy. One, now you're out of a lot of money that you could have used toward plugins or different audio things that may be a good investment. And two, you're kind of stuck in the same boat, just with less money now. Like I said earlier, if you've got a decent size budget, and like decent size, I'm talking a few $1,000s to invest in an acoustically treated room, you know, double studded walls, double walls. I'm not talking about just throwing some foam up on your walls and calling it acoustically treated, but actually constructing a true acoustically treated room. Monitors are going to be the better option for you. Now, the group that I'm speaking to, which is very similar to this guy, is I started mixing. I didn't have that budget. And for a lot of you, you may be living in an apartment to where you can't necessarily construct a recording studio in your apartment. And another thing about apartments, you don't want noise complaints. You're probably gonna get some noise complaints if you're using studio monitors. Headphones, you can crank it a little bit louder and you have no issues with your neighbors. Or you're living in a house and your wife just may not be on board with you making a recording studio next to her bedroom. In that case, save yourself some money, save yourself the headaches, and get you some headphones. Another thing that I have down here is a lot of the consumers are gonna be listening to the music on headphones anyways. You know, they're gonna be listening to it on an iPhone. They're gonna be listening to it on AirPods. They're gonna be listening to it in the car. They're probably not listening to it on some Yamahas. They're probably not listening to it on high-end studio monitors. Now, I'm not bashing monitors. As you can see, I got them in the background, but I still do a lot of referencing on headphones. So if you really think about it, you're mixing music on exactly what the consumer is going to be hearing their music on anyway. And I get it. I totally get it. If you're mixing trap, if you're mixing hip hop, You want to turn the music up. You want to hear the low end. You want to hear the shake. You want to hear the rumble. Easy solution. Probably have a car, or you know somebody that has a car. The classic car test. Every engineer still does this. Every engineer that I know hops in the car, takes a lap around the block, cranks that thing, and that's the final test. You know, if you kind of hear something in the car, jump back on the laptop, jump back into Pro Tools, and just tweak what you're hearing. And last but not least, utilize multiple reference points. You probably have a phone, you probably have some kind of AirPods or earbuds, and if you take my advice in this video, now you've got some headphones. And most of you probably have a car. That's 4 reference points to where you can play back your mix to make sure everything is balanced and everything's hitting the way that you want it to hit and sitting the way you want it to sit. And not only that, like I just mentioned, this is exactly where 99% of the consumers are gonna be hearing your mixes anyway. And it wouldn't be right if I ended this video without giving you just a few different headphone options that I would personally recommend. So number 1, the ones that I have down here are the Sennheiser HD 280s. $100 pair of headphones. I've got them. We use them here at the studio. Definitely a great recommendation for kind of a budget-friendly headphone. Number 2, these headphones I've personally never used. I'm getting this tip from Alex Toomey. So supposedly he swears by the Audio-Technica HTH M50 headphones. I checked the price on those. Those are gonna be about $130, so just a little bit more than the Sennheiser 280s. Supposedly he swears by those. Supposedly he used those for multiple years. From what he said, that's kind of one of his best reference points whenever he is playing his mixes through. So number 3, the headphones that I personally use, these are a little bit higher in price. These are gonna be $400, but it's gonna be the Sennheiser HD 650s. These headphones are open back headphones, so they're a little bit more transparent than the other ones. They're a little bit more flat than the other headphones as well. Those are the ones that I've been rocking out with for probably about 2 or 3 years now. Those were some headphones that Maddox Chim, aka Mad Mix, that he recommended to me, and anything that guy recommends, I'm going to pick up. So whichever one fits your budget best, that's probably what I would recommend, and just go with it. Don't think that you have to have the most expensive things, the most expensive equipment in the world to make great mixes. Afford what you can afford and trust the process. Whenever you work with what you got and you continue to learn and you're continuing to dive into different resources like this, to different resources like Mix with the Master, Sound on Sound, whenever you continue to check out these resources, you're gonna naturally grow. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of peace. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of clarity on kind of your next steps as an audio engineer, as a mix engineer who may not have a huge budget to invest in crazy acoustics, but may just be mixing in their house and just need a reference point to get their mixes sounding solid. And if this added any value to your life, if this helped any at all, feel free to drop a comment. Let me know. Feel free to subscribe if you want to subscribe. But until next time, I'm getting out of here. Peace.